I think we can start,
Yeah.
Bhavani. We have just waited for a couple of more minutes anyway. Let people
Yeah.
join as they. Okay, can I request Ms. Bhavani to formally say a few welcome remarks, and then I will introduce and we can keep going. And I request everyone to keep the audio, video silent so that there won't be any sort of. Yeah.
Thank you, Saraswati. Thank you, Saraswati. Good afternoon, friends. It's wonderful to have you all here for this Coffee Connect. On behalf of my co-chair, vice chair, Madhuri, and Saraswati and the secretariat, it's great having Madam Vanita Mohan here for this Coffee Connect session. And none other than Mr. Ranganath sir to give us a very lively conversation with Madam Vanita. This is the WBC's Coffee Connect session. To give you a background, in the 185th year of MCCI, we set up the Women's Business Council, and it was none other than Mrs. Mallika Srinivasan who initiated this council with her blessings on 13th March 2021 with a vision for gender acceleration and building an inclusive culture and to work towards women development. We have a vision, a mission, and a work plan every year, and we are in the third year of a very successful set of events, programs, and initiatives. We connect with members virtually, even during the COVID time, which I think has set a precedent for us to have more virtual than in person sessions. But we enjoy these sessions, and our panel discussions are on topics of great interest. And we have had Coffee Connect sessions regularly with active participation. Some of the eminent persons who have addressed our Coffee Connect sessions are Padmaja Chandru, MD and CEO of Indian Bank; Visakha, MD and CEO of India First Life; Dr. Sudha Seshayan, former VC Tamil Nadu MGR Medical University; and Mrs. Meenakshi Navita, country president Pfizer. And we've got today with us none other than Vanita Mohan, chairman of PRICAL, vice president of RAAC, the first woman president of the 93-year-old Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Coimbatore, and a recipient of Abdul Kalam Seva Ratna Award. And it's my pleasure to welcome you. Welcome, Mr. Ranganath, my good associate and long friend from my earlier alma mater, as a client and as a most interesting client for us. Welcome both of you, and welcome all participants to this wonderful set of proceedings. Yeah, and over to Saraswati to formally introduce both of you and take this forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ms. Bhavani. Sorry about my bad throat. We have two friends of the Chamber of Commerce, both Mr. Ranganath and Ms. Vanita Mohan, and also a friend of the Madras Chamber of Commerce, I would say, friends of Madras Chamber of Commerce. And it gives me pleasure to formally introduce both of them, though Ms. Bhavani has probably told a bit about them in advance. So as we all know, Ms. Vanita Mohan is the chairperson of PRICAL Limited, and she has two distinct kind of great profiles, I would say. One, as the chairman, as a leader of an industry, as well as a sort of an I won't say activist, passionate person. And she's the managing trustee of Sirutuli, the NGO which worked towards a clean and green environment with special focus on the restoration and protection of water bodies of Coimbatore. So that part of her introduction probably most of you may not require. Also the other part, as Ms. Bhavani mentioned, she's the past president of the Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the 93-year-old chamber. And that is where I also had a good interaction with her. In fact, I went to Coimbatore and she took me around to the various activities, the sites, what she's doing, and it was mind-boggling, I would say. And we were happy to have her in one of our water programs way back. Under her leadership, of course, she initiated the formation of Kongu Global Forum, comprising of business leaders from 7 districts of the Kongu region. as again Bhavani said, she's a recipient of many awards in the sphere of both women achievers, leaders, and eco-conservation. She has received the Abdul Kalam Sheva Ratna Award for her contribution in the sphere of water conservation from the Dalai Lama Nanneri Chemmal Award 2016, presented by the Governor of Kerala, Sri P. Sadasivam, and former Chief Justice of India under the aegis of Nanneri Kazhagam. Am I right? Am I pronouncing it right, Vanita?
Nanneri.
Oh, Nanneri Kazhagam. Okay, I thought Eri. Okay, Nanneri Kazhagam. Okay. And her outstanding contribution to environment protection brought her the award from the Governor of Tamil Nadu, Mr. R.N. Ravi, very recently, I would say a year back of him. Right. So we have her here as our guest speaker. And on the other side, when there is such an eminent guest speaker and somebody to converse with, we cannot have someone in a very lesser pedestal. So we have Mr. N.K. Ranganath, former Managing Director of Grenfos Pumps India Private Limited. Just how he was mentioning about his reunion with his old friends. He is from the 1980 batch of the XLRI Business Management course, post-degree in Mechanical Engineering from College of Engineering, Guindy. He is an independent director in several listed and non-listed companies, and he is on the advisory boards of quite a few NGOs. And more importantly, he had been part of the Madras Chamber Governing Council for many, many years. So they know each other very well. They share a lot of common interests. So we are ahead for a very, very interesting, free-flowing, I would say, information-packed conversation. So I now leave it to Mr. N.K. Ranganath to kickstart the conversation. I request everyone to keep your audio and video on mute. If you want to ask any questions to either Ms. Vanita or maybe check with Mr. N.K. Ranganath, you can post it in the chat group. Over to you, Mr. Ranganath.
Thank you, Saraswati. It was quite a pleasure to have Vanita Mohan on this panel and have a discussion with her. It will be a kind of a free-flowing discussion. It's not too formal or any such thing. But I guess when Saraswati called me, I was not very much intrigued that Vanita Mohan happens to be the chairman of almost a 2,000 crore company. But I've always been following her for the Siruturi work that she's been done, being a water guy. Which, running a company is easier than running an NGO, and that too in water. So it would be nice to sort of speak to her on her journey, and again in her NGO, as well as then slowly move towards what she's been doing with her life as the chairman of Precol, and as also as a person in her personal life. So Precol is a very well-known company, Vanita. But everybody who comes into the business either comes in because something is thrust upon them, or they inherit it. I've been a part of a family business and became a professional. Or you are put in a position where you cannot say no, or you have plans that this is where I want to be. So what was your journey into Precol first? Then I'll come to, of course, Siruturi later.
My journey into Precol was more to support my husband, because the company was growing and he needed some support. And having been mentored by a father who always believed that women have to work and they can't sit idle at home, it was a nice opportunity. So it was good getting into Precol, because I've learned so many things. It was not thrust. I wouldn't say it was thrust on me, but I just happened to be there.
That's good.
More to support my husband. And
so is your husband happy with your support?
You'll have to ask him.
So Siruturi, let's also quickly sort of look at that. How did you get this idea of starting something up for conserving water? What pushed you to start this? I think you handled Siruturi much before you became chairman of Precol, right?
No.
It's after that.
It was later, much later.
Subsequently.
Maybe 10 years later.
What pushed you into starting up an NGO which is focused on water?
No, when I was young, I grew up with a lot of water all around me. There was so much of water in all the tanks within the city. So, when you are growing up, then you go to school, college, and it's all forgotten. You just take it for granted. And then suddenly one fine day, you find that, where did all the water go? Hey, there was a lake here, there was a pond here. Where did it all go? And then again, you get sucked into your daily routines, and then you don't think about it until it really hits you. Then you have water shortage, what people start talking about, water scarcity. Slowly, it starts getting into you. Then you tell yourself, no, I think we'll have to do something about it before it's too late. We started doing some work in and around Perinakepalam, which is where Precol is situated. And the results, it was all very small little initiatives which bore a lot of fruit. It was really good. It was amazing. Simple things, but it started working. So then I went back to the collector and said, can we do something for the water situation in Coimbatore? Then he said, no, nothing can be done because there's no water in the river. I said, why is there no water in the river? There is no water in the river. That's it. And we started, more out of academic interest, we started tracing back the river to its origin in the Western Ghats. And what we saw was so beautiful, so beautiful. 400 years ago, when there was nothing available, no JCBs, no Hitachis, no tractors, no tippers, and even the implements that they used to construct these water bodies were handmade, right? And we were also told that if Kaveri went into spate, there were floods in Kaveri. One of the reasons was the river Noyal, which flows through Coimbatore. So what happened to such a big river? Then we started working backwards. And that's how we found that this is doable and we can do something about it.
How did you manage to get people to believe? I've been in this water space, and whenever we handhold somebody, everything works well. The moment you turn the other way around, they go back to their original state. It's been very difficult. How did you get people to buy in and take ownership? Because that's one of the difficult jobs of sustaining what you do. What you can do well, but then afterwards you can't take your eye off that. So how did you manage that? Or have you managed, or are you still pushing that envelope still?
We'll have to keep pushing because that has to become a mantra. Going forward, if you're not going to be looking at your natural resources, be it air or water, we are going to be in for a surprise. Because we are literally, today's situation, we are sitting on a ticking time bomb. The population is exploding and the amount of natural resources that is available for you is dwindling, right? Being in the pumps industry, I'm sure you'll know that, Ranga, better than anybody else. The amount of water that we are taking out, we are not refilling it.
Yeah.
So if you're not going to do that, how long is it going to be sustainable? So I keep telling people it is like your ATM. Unless you keep loading your account, you're not going to be able to draw anything from your ATM. So this is something probably sometimes I might be a boring conversationalist, but I keep talking about water wherever I go. And all of our members, us in Sirtuli, we keep talking about water. But so that is triggering a lot of interest. It's not that people are shying away from it.
Oh, that's
and Sirtuli has become a movement in Coimbatore. It is only because of the people's support.
Yeah.
There has been a lot of support from the people.
Yeah, I'm very happy that you're seeing this because, from what I've seen, I worked with about 70 nationalities. And I never tire of seeing this. One of the most fertile brains is the Indian brain, and one of the most indisciplined brain is the Indian brain. So we always work when our back is against the wall and never proactive. So you have started something proactive, and I do hope people are able to realize that they have to act ahead and not when their back is against the wall. So how have you been able to get that buy-in, and how have you been able to enthuse people who are working with you to look at things proactively much before something bad really happens?
No, I think constant awareness campaigns, constant programs relating to water is a must. And then when people start getting into it, there is so much of information available and there's so many avenues that are there to explore. And I think it's a very lovely world to get into. When people start getting into it, getting into afforestation, because afforestation is also one of the pillars of one of the verticals of Sirithuli. So we have a lot of tree plantation programs going on. And now we have taken up what is called Nallathani. Nallathani is a project where we are looking into sewage treatment in a very big way. Going forward, I think sewage is going to be a huge challenge for the human race, especially in India. It is a source of huge wealth, because this wealth can be this waste can be converted into wealth in a very big way. So we are looking at Nallathani. So constantly we are introducing programs which are of interest to people. And we were not proactive. Sirithuli was definitely not proactive. It was only reactive, because in 2003, when we decided to do something, at 1,200 feet, there was no water. And the commissioner threw up his hands and said, we have exactly 15 days of water left in our reservoir. And if it doesn't rain, we are finished. We don't know what we're going to do. That's how desperate we were. And something had to be done. It was a do or die situation. So then we took up the first, since I had some experience restoring some water bodies in Perinac Himalayan. All my colleagues, they said, why don't we do the same thing in Coimbatore? So when we took up this first water body, Krishnambadi, it was a 75-acre pond, which had been encroached, and what was left was about 55 acres. And in 55 acres, when we started desilting it, the adjoining farmers, mind you, they came and said, there's no water here. What are you wasting your money for? You're wasting your time, you're wasting your money. We haven't seen water in this part of the city for a long, long time. So we were very nervous. Are we wasting our money? Then we said, no, this is a risk that we are taking. In business, we take so many risks. So this is a social risk. Fine. If we succeed, we would have succeeded. If we didn't, at least we tried. So that's how we put our first right foot forward. We also invited Dr. Rajendra Singh, known as the Waterman of India. We invited him. Then when he came and he saw the place, he said, if there's no water here, there's no water anywhere in the world. Look at the Western Ghats in the background. And all the water falling in the Western Ghats has to necessarily come into the city. So you be ready with your vessel, and your vessel will get filled. And truly, it was just 2 days of rain, and the entire tank filled up. It was such a beautiful sight. The whole of Coimbatore celebrated because we hadn't seen water. All we saw was serpentine queues of pots lining the roads. That's how bad it was. So when we saw water, we knew, yes,
it's heartening to hear that, and ironical that the city which manufactures the most number of pumps in India ran out of water at some point of time, was almost out of water. Let's come to your leadership style in terms of your NGO and your leadership style in terms of running Precall. Is there a difference, or do you have to use different styles of leadership when you get in there? Or is it are there some common factors, or is it completely different the way you handle these?
I think leadership is common everywhere. You take people along with you and you tell them, let's do it together, have a focused goal, and then make it happen, work for it to happen along with your people. Then people start believing in you. People start accepting you as a leader. Although I don't call myself a leader at all.
Well, you're in that position anyway. So whether you like it or not, you're chairman of a company and you're also a managing trustee. One of the things I find, I'm going to ask you a contentious question. Tamil Nadu, and more so, in Coimbatore, and I see, there's a lot of feudal approach, at least in the past. How did you break that? I mean, to get people to, I see that there's no progress if we don't encourage people to come back with their ideas, or even challenge some of the things that we say as heads of organizations. How did you break this? Because I find I've known Coimbatore from when I was a little child, because my uncles used to live there. So it was very different in the past, and slowly I think the new generations are slowly sort of moving away from a very feudal approach in the past to something that is different now. So how did you manage to take this on and say, this is what I need you guys to speak up?
I don't think that was a problem at all for me. I never faced any problems on that front.
Yeah.
It just happened.
Oh, that's
And I
nice.
think that's the magic of Mother Nature. I always keep telling people, when you take one step towards her, she comes running towards you, taking 10 steps at a time. And it all just happened, Ranga.
Oh, that's nice.
And I really keep praying every time I can come to Chennai. I keep praying and saying, can it not happen in Chennai? Because Chennai is much, much, much more endowed with natural resources than we in Coimbatore.
One of the things that I see, Vanita, when it comes to these kind of things, I've worked with a lot of NGOs. I am on the board of NGOs, worked with organizations. What happens is everybody wants to take credit. I said, why? Why are we working against each other to take credit? Here we have to work with each other to ensure it doesn't matter where the credit goes. We should see the impact on the ground. So how did you manage to, again, infuse this idea? Because sometimes people want the credit and hardly they measure impact on the ground. They measure activities. Oh, we have done this, we've done this. Okay, what is the end result? You have shown end result there in terms of water. So how has that been what you call inculcated both in Sirturi as well as in Precol, if you have done that in both places?
Again, that's a problem which I don't think I faced at all.
You're lucky.
People want credit and then just a tap in the back. That's it. All they want is just a tap in the back.
No, I'm not talking of individuals. I'm talking of organizations. Individuals are easier to handle than multiple organizations coming together who have the same goal. But they say, okay, no, we want this credit. Or let's say an organization is supporting you. And I keep, yes, sir, why do you want credit? People shouldn't even know what you're doing. You're supposed to help.
That again, we never face that problem. We give them credit. We give them credit upfront. We give them a lot of credit. We give them a prominent place on the stage. But we've never faced that kind of a problem.
Oh, that's nice. In fact, I had to work solidly sort of to get that kind of an approach in Tamil Nadu, in Chennai. Because everybody would say, classically they would say they would not take a decision. Sir, what do you think we should do? And I would tell them, give me your salary and I'll take a call. Otherwise, you take a call. Because you're there as committed as I am, even though I'm the head of the organization. So this is something that I had to work on, but I'm glad you're saying that that you didn't face this and you're one of the lucky ones.
And most of our projects, when you see the results, either you see a project, an afforestation project, which was a debris-filled site, suddenly comes to life within 1.5 years or 2 years, because we have this Miyawaki plantations. Miyawaki plantations just spring up like a forest overnight. So when they see that, or when they see a tank filled with water, I think that's a big credit for them, right? And they say this is something that Bosch did, or this something HCL did. So they feel so, what should I say? They feel so connected with it. It's a very soul-stirring kind of an experience when you see nature in full form.
You formed, on the same lines, you formed a Kongu Global Forum of 7 districts of the western part of Tamil Nadu for holistic development of the Kongu region. I have been speaking about holistic approach to everything. But we as mammals are very siloistic. We like our own kingdoms. After all, we are also animals. To break that has been a very, very difficult job, saying, okay, we should not be working in silos. We should be working together. And the process is more important and the end result is more important. So what have you done with the Kongu Global Forum? How have you managed to sort of sustain it? Or is it sustained and they're showing some results?
Oh, yes, it's showing a lot of results. Kongu Global Forum was primarily started with 7 districts coming together. Only primarily to lobby for a good airport, Coimbatore Airport.
Okay.
Coimbatore Airport, the 7 districts, apart from Palghat district, are the catchment areas for the Coimbatore Airport. And we were just looking at all the other airports getting developed. Whereas Coimbatore was, we call ourselves an international airport, but we hardly have any international flights. So that's how we came together. And then slowly it went on to railways, basically connectivity, and then later on water. So this was all about lobbying with both the state government and the central government. 7 districts. The best part is there are other districts who also want to be part of this Congo Global Forum. The way we have been lobbying, we have been together. It's a wonderful, it was a wonderful initiative. Ranga.
That's nice. That's nice. So let me come to Recall, where I understand 25% of your workforce are women. And I presume you're also women there are a lot of women on this forum listening to you. Has your presence made some substantial difference as a woman chairman there? Or as a lot of youngsters I speak to, even today, speak of a glass ceiling and they're not able to get further up. You didn't have any glass ceiling, but is there people who work for you, do they perceive any such thing? Or how have you encouraged women to be more proactive? The reason why I'm asking you this question is we had a lot of women. And, you know, one day a woman manager came and told me, sir, I don't want any more women in my team. I said, why? She said, 3 of them got pregnant. I only have 50% of my team now. I started laughing. I said, you can't do this. If they're pregnant, let them work from home. So we started work from home 15 years ago for all pregnant women. So you sit at home. Here is your laptop. So you work from home. So how have you managed this? And I see that Coimbatore has a lot of women on the shop floor. But how is it in the offices? And how have you given them a way forward being a lady chairman of a very large company?
One thing is initially, why 25%? 25% initially when Precall was started, we needed people with a lot of dexterity because a lot of intricate components that were being, especially the mechanical clusters, we needed a lot of dexterity. So we had people who used to go to, for picking flowers, ladies who used to go work in the farms picking flowers. They were part of our blue collar workforce. So that's how the whole thing started. And thereafter, it became natural, you know. But like you saying, women, they have to go have, you know, they get married and then they have a family. All that is definitely a stumbling block. We didn't think about working from home at that point in time, especially you can't work from home, especially
Shop floor, you can't.
Yeah, you can't. So we are a bit selective. And I also feel that I always think that woman primarily has to have a home front happy, you know, with children, happy home, happy in-laws, whatever it is. And then you can work in peace. Otherwise, I think she gets really stretched. They really get stretched. I think women have to be supported, and whatever support we can, we try to give them.
See, one of the things that I came across some of my women executives was issues at home when they had their children with no support from the in-laws or the parents. So in-laws discourage some of them, saying that, no, your primary business is to look after your child. We don't have, even though you have a creche, not many mothers want to put their kids in creche. They want their family to take care of. I don't know how you've managed this. In fact, one of the girls who got married and was there, she was having a chance to go abroad for a few months, and simply the mother-in-law put her foot down. She had never been abroad. She put her foot down and said, no, you can't do this. So how do you manage with these, and how do you encourage them? Do you have a chance to talk to their family saying that, look, you need to balance your life, but yet you have to have opportunities to go forward?
Ultimately, it is the candidate who has to make a choice. You know, she's the best person to weigh all the pros and cons, because ultimately she has to take care of her in-laws, take care of her parents, whatever it is. I mean, their views and ideas matter eventually. So yes, we try to counsel them. We try to give them all the support that we can. But end of the day, I think she has to make a choice.
That's a tough job.
It's a very tough job.
But
we used to provide a creche, and they used to be very happy bringing their children to the creche. So that was a big support for them.
That's nice. In fact, the sad story was this one girl finally ended up in a divorce because she didn't have any support. So she actually got a good job with her daughter, and it was very unfortunate. But
Very unfortunate.
we had to deal with these kind of things, and I was wondering, how do you manage? Because it's easier for men to work because half the things they don't take care of. I like the fact that you said women are more dexterous than men in a nice way, but I think they can achieve more than men definitely, because multitasking comes very easy.
Very
Uh,
easy.
yeah, so this is a good thing. So people talk about work-life balance, since we are talking about on this case, and when you take leadership positions, it's even worse for work-life balance. You are torn between your work and home, and being the role of a homemaker, the basic role of women, as it has been in the past. Okay, things are changing a bit now. You can also have men sitting at home and taking care of children, which I know a few who do very well. But whenever it came to work-life balance, I always told people that I have a perfect work-life balance, 50-50. I have all the work, my wife has all the life. So, so how do you manage this personally, and how do you sort of encourage your own, women employees to talk about work-life balance, or even men for that matter?
It is a big a challenge, Ranga. It's not easy. Balancing between what you want to do, what you have to do, it takes its toll. Somewhere it takes a toll. But then when you look at the larger good, I think you'll have to say, okay, this is how much of time I'll devote for my work. This is the amount of time I'm going to devote for my passion. And in between, how am I going to take care of the rest? But what helps largely is if you have an understanding family. That is very, very important. And I think I've been blessed with a family which understands and which has given me the space and time. So that is something that you have to convey to your family also. Yes, I will give you all what you want, whatever I can, not what you demand, but whatever I can, I'll be able to give you. But please respect my time and space. That happens. Otherwise, between two, it's literally like juggling between two heavyweights. It's very difficult. But I think
one of the questions,
managed to balance it pretty well.
One of the questions, this is a dialogue I've had at my own house and also some of my colleagues. When we say, okay, we're working, we need to sort of bring the money, it is for the family. The wife turns around and asks, if you're not around for the family, what's the point of all the money that is coming in? So that was an answer that I could not even talk about. We need you, not your money. But then money is also required on the table for living. So have you ever come across this dilemma, and how have you managed to sort of?
No, that I guess how you communicate and how you prioritize what you want in your life. If you think money is the priority and you're not able to strike a balance with the rest of the family, definitely there'll be chaos, confusion. But then if you're able to sit together and decide what is my priority, what is it that we should be focusing on as a family, as an individual, I think by and large, of course, it's not going to be a bed of roses, but definitely by and large, things sort of fall into place.
Yeah. And understanding spouse is very vital, plus the extended family, that without doubt. Because when that happens, I think things work. So what advice would you give younger women who are looking to start their own businesses or their own NGOs, or start something new? What advice would you give them as somebody who has seen this? Because what I see amongst the youngsters, they have very good ideas, but they are very impatient. It's the era of everything quickly done, So what advice would you give them? Because sometimes, like I used to be pretty crude with some of the people. I said it takes 10 months to make a baby. You cannot make it in 1 month. So you need to have time. You need to give it some time. So what advice would you have for all the young ladies out here?
The problem in today's world is, Ranga, there are too many distractions. There are too many avenues to. I think this is what I want. Then suddenly something else comes up. Something else comes up. So I want to be everywhere. I would say youngsters I think they should be trained to focus on what they want. Do their homework well and focus, keep their eyes on the ball. If your eyes are on the ball and totally, you will start getting support from totally unexpected corners. And then you'll be able to achieve your whatever you want to do in life. But if, on the other hand, if you're going to be all over the place, then you don't have anyone to blame but yourself. I think that will lead you to a very chaotic kind of a situation.
Yeah, I came across a word of this generation. I didn't know what it was. They said FOMO, fear of missing out. I said, "Oh, wow, I said, is that a word?" They said, yes. So you would have faced, like everybody else, all of us face challenges, setbacks, hurdles when we start doing something. And if there is a challenge or a hurdle or a setback, how do you process it and how do you manage to internalize it or get out of it in terms of your own mental makeup? And also, of course, the rest of it is a question of process.
That's a very interesting question, Raga. Hurdles, you must have heard about the pre-call story. That was one of the victims of my involvement in the NGO. But thing is, initially, yes, I'm basically a very sensitive person. But over a period of time, I think this has really given me a lot of strength. It has given me a lot of courage to face situations. I just don't react. I just keep quiet and then let it pass away. If you start reacting to any situation, you can worsen it. So most of the time, I'm successful in letting it just pass. It goes away. But if you start reacting, if you start fighting it, then most of the time you end up with a lot of bruises and wounds internally.
Yeah. You know, when you speak of reaction, I also remember a thing which I used to have with my colleagues. In any meeting that you have or a review meeting, when somebody starts speaking, even without listening or understanding, reactions have started already. So if we are saying that something has not gone on well, which is what we should correct, it is taken personally. And then how do you manage this kind of a conflict? We have to tell people it's not you, it's the process. So listen first and don't start pointing fingers at something else, but something else went wrong somewhere, somebody else did wrong. You must have come across this in every organization that you did.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. In plenty.
How do you then say, okay, now enough, now this is what we need to do?
No, when you react, then they'll get defensive. So the best thing would be to just let them have their let them have the last word. But you continue to do what you want to do. You have a game plan. Don't swerve from the game plan. You stick to it, but let people have their last word. So they feel they have contributed, they have objected, they have whatever. But eventually they'll start taking credit for whatever has happened. Something good comes out of it, they'll start taking credit. Let them take credit.
Yeah. Anybody can take the credit. So you have you had any role models in your life which have impacted you deeply?
My parents.
Your parents.
Both my parents. My father and my mother. They walked their talk. My father especially was a person who was constantly, I think that is what kind of gave me the idea of getting into water conservation. He was a person, even 50, 60 years ago, he was very concerned about running out of water. So there was constantly, there used to be some talk about water all the time. And my mother was passionate about trees. Wherever she went to, she wouldn't go shopping. She'll pick up saplings and seeds and stuff like that. So for her, it was trees. And for them, their life was about reaching out, doing something beyond the call of duty. So I think it's definitely, most definitely my parents.
That's nice. In fact, you say walk the talk. 80% of the people just talk the talk. There's no walk. So to inculcate that habit of walking the talk is very, very vital. And then you need good role models. I'm happy your parents were, were good role models for you. But they say that you can learn, learning never stops. And there are a lot of people who think they know everything, and I have to tell them no. because gone are the days where the boss was the superhuman. We are no longer supermen or superwomen. It's an era of networked teams, and it's an era of teamwork. So
Yes.
to get this is not very easy. How have you managed to inculcate this kind of a feeling that look, we need to work together? It's a team effort. Everybody has, for instance, I used to tell people, forget this mythical organization structure of a box and 3 boxes under that and 4 boxes under the 3 boxes, because an organization should be like a cycle wheel. The management is the hub and every spoke is a department. If the spoke breaks, the cycle goes in all directions. But it was easier said than getting this kind of a thinking in. It took a lot. Has such a thing been done in your organization? How do you manage this in this way or any other way to ensure that there is team effort and not just individual brilliance that is working?
See, team effort happens when there is a very clearly defined goal, where a clearly defined vision, and which everyone signs off. If you don't have people signing off on it, then eventually there will be some pinpricks all the way. But convincing people to believe in that mission or in that goal is very important. Once you're able to do that slowly, it doesn't happen overnight. You can't just go and throw your weight and say, "Now, come on, this is the goal for this organization. This is the goal for Sirtuli. Now, come on, let's do it." No. Go into the merits and demerits of that goal. Talk to the people, get their buy-in. And most often than not, it works. The teamwork kicks in.
Do you use a bottom-up approach in terms of ideation?
Yes, yes.
Because then there is more buy-in because it becomes their idea.
No, they feel included.
Yeah.
They feel so included. This morning, surprisingly, when I was in the shop floor, it was a very simple Kaizen that a lady had come up with. There was a lot of, when we were testing the instruments, there was a lot of glare coming from the backlight. So this lady, I don't think she's even past her 12th. She said, "Can you give me a sensor which will come on only when I'm testing it? So the rest of the time it was a very simple Kaizen." But the way she came up with it, I was so full of admiration. There are ideas waiting to germinate from the ground level. It's just that people at the middle or at the top try to snuff it out. Once you snuff it out, then all the ideas don't. And the buy-in also does not happen. The sign-off does not happen.
You hit the nail on the head. That was my most difficult job. The middle level, to get them to open their minds. So how have you done that?
Let them, when you say that, when you start behaving like that, when you start snuffing ideas, then it sort of goes down and down and down. You let them talk.
So, okay, now
Then when they start talking, when they start engaging, when they start looking at the merits and demerits, they themselves will start to understand, yes, this will work and this will not work.
Yeah.
But if you tell them, no, this is the way, this will not work, categorically you deny it and say, no, this will not work, then somewhere something inside them dies, and then they don't want to be included. They don't participate.
It's a good word you said. No, there are 2 types of no's: an egoistic no and an informed no. But there are some no's have to be there, but it has to be an informed no as to why we are saying no. The egoistic no is what gets you.
The no's have to be sugar-coated.
Yeah, and also a reason to be given, a logical reason to be given.
Yes.
But when you have an egoistic no, I'm the boss, or no, then it creates issues.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
It's always a little lonely at the top. So when you're on top of the organization, because you need somebody to talk to, and some way of learning more and expanding your horizon and your knowledge. How do you go about doing that?
I've never felt lonely. I can categorically say that I've never felt lonely, and I don't think I'm at the top. I could be a chairperson, but I don't feel that. I feel I'm part of everyone.
Vanitha, that's a fantastic thing. When I when I was running my office, they said head office. I said, no, support office. You're the head. You're on the market. We are the support at the bottom. So it made a huge difference. I'm glad you said that, because that is an issue. But how do you improve your knowledge, or how do you keep abreast of the latest? Do you have find time? Do you have the opportunity to do that? Do you have somebody whom you can throw the ideas on and like
Today with the social media, there's so much of knowledge happening, the social media. But then just being connected with people, Ranga, there's so much that you can learn. Being with people, I think there's a lot that you learn. I'm not one of those people, I can't, my concentration, I can't read books. But I learn a lot from people.
Yeah. So you have a lot on your plate. Do you have hobbies other than this that you pursue?
I love farming.
You have time for it?
I'm trying to get into, that's my retirement plan. I want to get into farming in a very big way because, but for the farmer, what are we going to do for the food? 140 crores population. We are not looking at agriculture. Agriculture is not being given the due status that it deserves and needs. And if you're not going to do that, what are we going to do for food? That's a huge subject that needs to be deliberated and discussed at the top level.
I'm going to hold you on one thing. On retirement, is there a retirement?
That's a good question. Good question. No. No retirement.
Yeah. So that's what it is. So you have to find a way of doing it. But yeah, farming is therapeutic. I was born on a farm. My father was one. And I still
It's
remember
so
those.
therapeutic.
Yeah. I remember those days when I was living on the farm. And my children have never seen one. And they are in their mid-30s. So unfortunate, but I agree with you. If we change the way we do our agriculture and the agricultural productivity, I think we will change the whole of India. So there's a question that I would ask a lot of my colleagues and my board also. A question personally as well as in your company. What does success look like to you? How would you define the success for yourself and for your company and for your NGO? What's the definition? What's the key parameter you would focus on?
Very nice question. I like to share an incident with you. This was many years ago, more than 20 years ago. This was a temple which was close to our place. Went for the Kumbhabhishekam. They had a Kumbhabhishekam, so I was going for the Kumbha. I was there for the Kumbhabhishekam. Then we were all waiting for someone. I don't know who we were waiting for. We were waiting. And suddenly, all the people inside the temple, they forgot about the god and they rushed outside. And then they went to meet this person who had made a difference to that village. He had literally transformed the village, given a lot of job opportunities, done a lot of community service. So for them, he was God. God had taken a second place when this gentleman arrived. That really set me thinking. To me, success is if you have been able to make a difference to the environment around you, if you have been able to put a smile on a person's face, that is success.
Good. The impact and the influence you have on the people around you and what difference you have made to them is success. I like the way you put that because many people don't seem to be understanding that. And
no, recently, sorry to interrupt, we have taken up a huge project thanks to the Murugappa group in Tirmayam in Pudukkottai district. And those people there are fiercely protective of their water bodies because for them, water is a rare sight. And initially, when we went to take up the project, there was a lot of resistance. They looked at us like villains. And they would refuse to let us go anywhere near they call it Kammai. The lakes are called Kanmai. And then after we started the work and we deepened the water bodies, today all the 7 filled with water. You know, the farmers there are so happy. They said, when you all came here first, we thought you were going to do something. You're going to spoil what little we had. Even one crop was a difficult thing. But today we are confident that 3 crops will be easy. We are safe for the rest of our lives. We are safe as far as water is concerned. So that for me it was such a soul satisfying experience. I don't think even all the thousands and billions of dollars and pounds can bring that happiness to you.
Yeah. There are a few questions on the thing. I'll probably ask you. One of them says that Savitri Suresh Babu, for a successful entrepreneur, what are the basic qualities a woman should have?
Empathy and focus.
Okay, and there's one more question. Come on. In your opinion, which is easier, heading a family business or starting and leading a new business? This is considering that there could be a lot of expectations and preset demands in family businesses, while a new business may have little more freedom despite the risks and the challenges.
See, something is already set for you, unless it has been run down or something like that, then I wouldn't advise. I would advise you to go into a new business. But if there's already a set business established and handed over to you, I think you can turn it around. You can run it the way you want, bring about a lot of changes, and then bring in a new business also into it, because you already have an established platform ready to take off. Otherwise, it is all over. You'll have to go, you'll have to lay the foundation for it and then wait for it to build. And then the chances of it not succeeding is also there, right?
Yeah.
So if a business is handed over to you, grab it.
Yeah, ultimately, I think the secret is that to take your work seriously and not yourself too seriously, which is what
You said it.
which
You
is
said
what
it.
happens in most cases, and that's where the problem starts coming. Then there is a question. I don't know what this means, but Rajagopalan Venkatraman says we hear a lot about this term imposter syndrome. I never knew there's a term like that. What would be your advice for women leaders to overcome this phenomenon?
Imposter
Syndrome. I don't know what an imposter syndrome is, but Mr. Rajagopalan, if you can tell us what that is, then we're probably sort of. It's a new term.
I'm sorry, I can't understand.
Anyway, there's one more which says there's a perceived conflict between economic development and the environment. Yes, there is. How do you see this, especially as a person wearing both the hats, as an industrialist and an environmentalist?
Would you agree with me that economic development is dependent on environment? What would you do without water or air or good land? All of that is resting on the fundamental natural resources. Now, if you're not going to take care of it, how are you going to have a foundation?
Yeah. See, this thing you should see from the point of view, I think, where the question has been asked, in the current day businesses, everything is short term. And we've been trying to sort of tell people that you cannot think so short term. But unfortunately, as leaders of business, all the parameters or the key parameters that we set for people are predominantly short term. So one of the questions I had asked some businesses, even the company that I was working in, are we prepared to do 40% of business at a much lower EBITDA and actually monetize and report a triple bottom line saying impact on environment, impact on people? And most finance people would not accept it. So how do we approach this kind of a situation?
But we are talking about sustainability, right?
I know.
If you are not going to address sustainability,
We're not
then
going to exist.
you can keep building and building and building. Ultimately, one day you're going to find it is all bottomless.
I agree with you, Vanita, but most people say that we are not going to be alive at that point of time. That's the ethos.
So that, in my opinion, is a very short-sighted.
Short-sighted, exactly.
Very short-sighted.
But how do we change that?
So understand where we are coming from. Where are we coming from? And then start looking at building on top of that. Otherwise, we are just going to be fooling ourselves saying it is all about the top line and
EBITDA. Top line, bottom line.
Mm.
And in fact, in the Nilgiris, when we met last, we didn't use the word sustainability. We said resource efficiency.
Hmm.
We have to use the resources efficiently so something is left behind for the future and build upon it. But that's difficult. So imposter syndrome, somebody says, is undergoing a feeling like a fake or just lucky despite earning genuine success.
It is undergoing a feeling, I can only see two sentences. It's undergoing a feeling like a fake or just lucky.
Just lucky despite earning genuine success. You think it is just, okay, you're in the right place. You feel that it is just luck.
No, but then if you are secure within yourself, you don't have to bother about what others have to say or being called an imposter, or whatever it is.
Yeah, that is one from Sangeeta, but Rajagopal himself has said imposter syndrome is a common internal struggle in which women doubt their accomplishments and capabilities, fearing they do not belong in positions of leadership.
Probably that's, again, that comes from some amount of insecurity.
Yeah. But I don't see this in the current generation. Whatever you call them, Gen Z.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I don't think that is there in the...
They are phenomenally confident, the ladies.
No.
In fact, sometimes overconfident. So I tell them, hey, relax a bit. You know? So that's...
Aparna says imposter syndrome is when a woman feels that she's not the right person for the job or undermines her capabilities.
Yeah, self-doubt.
Self-doubting.
In a way, there should not be doubt, but in a way, I would say that if we all think that we were responsible for all the successes, it would be a terrible thing. There's a whole team behind us. We are in the right place at the right time. We have taken the right decisions. But with the team behind you, we are but a small cog in the wheel, which is running. So I don't think we should take all credit. At the same time, we should also feel proud that we've been a part of the team which moves forward. So
Yes.
I don't know why we should feel that it's
and
all
also, end of the day, feel grateful for, I think, an attitude of gratitude is of utmost importance.
that's vital.
Feeling grateful for having been given an opportunity to be a part of
That I think is a
the whole
phenomenal thing
process.
to have to say, and it's a very, very vital, because a few things that are not that are in short supply and are not common. One is being grateful. Others, the most uncommon thing is common sense also. Both these are missing in a lot of people, which we need to still inculcate and say this is what it is. Then there is a question here which from Aparna which says, tell us about how late President APJ Abdul Kalam influenced.
That is, I think, a result of, what shall I say? My experience with him was just unbelievable. He was more than a mentor, more than a philosopher guide. He was following our activities so closely. And I must tell you this. It was his 79th birthday, and we had called him to wish him. Then I said, Aya, next year it's going to be your 80th birthday. So would you like to celebrate your birthday with us? Then he said, oh, you remember my 80th birthday? Oh, good. Okay, will you give me something for my birthday? I said, of course, you tell us what can we give you? Will you give me trees? With that innocent smile and that chuckle, he said, will you give me trees? I said, most certainly, Aya, we'll give you a lakh of trees. Out of the blue, we just said we'll give you a lakh of trees, and you will plant the last tree, 1 lakh. You will plant near a water body. So he was there, and he was with us. That was such a wonderful moment that we spent with him. We still have that tree with us. He lives on. He is with us, guiding us at every point. And an NGO like this, the amount of struggle that we have to face, getting permissions, convincing the government that this needs to be done, convincing the local stakeholders, all of that it's a huge effort. But then I believe he's still with us, guiding us and giving us the courage and strength to move forward. He's been an amazing person in our lives, in the life of Sirtuli.
Nice. There's a question from Sangeeta Veena for women manage maternity, children's education, and even menopause come in the way of their growth. What special initiatives should organizations take to ensure that they are supported and considered for equal opportunities?
Basically, it's all about listening to them. I think when you listen to them, counsel them, having talking sessions with them, half the problems are gone. That I think that works with men also. Men also have that menopause.
Yeah. Yeah. They do.
I think it is a question of being able to speak and then let people speak, air out their concerns, air out their pain. Half of it is gone. It's just that you will have to create a platform for that.
So I'm coming back to your corporate life. One of the problems that I've faced, I find that most people did not have a can-do attitude. They would tell me why I can't do this, but never tell me how I can do it. So I had to go behind them and say, look, I don't want to listen to say why I can't do. I know that there are a lot of things that cannot be done. But if I need to achieve this, what should I do? I want your opinion and I want your way of doing things. But don't tell me why I can't do. That's a very easy way of just abrogating your responsibility. So how have you handled that part of it? I'm sure there are plenty of people who are like this, because every organization has, till you start enthusing them, telling them that this is not the way we are looking at things. We want a can-do attitude. There are certain things. If there's a way of doing it, then tell us how to do it.
I think that it's a bit of a more than a bit of a challenge, but I guess it's all part of the game, Ranga. A few bad experiences, a few successes, then you're able to showcase the successes vis-a-vis the failures. Then people understand by and large. More important than anything else is that again and again, I come back to the focus. When you don't let people stray away from the focus, from the path of your goal, most often than not, yes, these apprehensions, these concerns always happen. And I'm sure there are always people who are negative, who are looking only at the negative side of things. But most often than not, they'll come back to the right path.
Is that a cultural thing with us?
Pardon?
Is that a cultural thing with us as a diaspora of Indians?
I think so.
But I've seen this in other nationalities also, because it's an easy way of doing things. This can't be done, because it's then there's no questions asked. But when you push, there's always a way. So yeah, this is something that one needs to handle. I guess the young ladies here or the others who are starting up businesses, if you're starting afresh, the best thing to do is to know what should not be done and make sure. Tell me, coming to this, do you see culture more or skills more when you take people in?
I would look at culture.
Yeah, that's I learned that the hard way. If the cultural match is there, then I look for skills.
If they have a good cultural background, skill can be easily.
Yeah, a culture that agrees with the culture of the company. Yeah, so yeah, that is something that is very, very vital, and I only learned it a little later on in life, that look, no point in getting the best person if the culture is totally different, because it's going to.
Then it'll be a crossfire all the time.
Yeah. So there's one more question. Shouldn't we start normalizing family-oriented and support system-related questions and discuss in a male-only or male-dominating professional conference too? They get to attend pure tech talks only most of the times, which means to say we should have a male organization. Yeah, Ravi, I see your hand up. I'm coming to you. So yeah, I see this happen. A lot of women-only forums are there where the males don't attend, but we are talking about how they should change. So I always tell people, get those guys in, because then we need to tell them that this is the change that we require.
No, I think that's the fair mix is very important.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
get to understand. Otherwise, when you isolate yourself, constantly you're looking at what is not right with the other gender, right? Most
Yeah.
often than not, it's a kind of ganging up and saying, "Oh, these men are always like this, or these women are always like that." So when it is always a fair mix of both the genders, I think a lot of things can happen.
Yeah,
Go
Dr.
well.
Ravi, you had a question?
Yeah, ma'am, just I have a small point to seek your viewpoint. As you can recall, few decades back, we all used to listen to our elders. And then we analyze, then take a decision whichever way we think is probably suitable with their counseling.
Hmm.
Today, you can see a sea change. No one wanted to be told. They think they are right. A huge amount of restlessness you can see. They rush to the decision and pay for it. Since you have also seen both sides, you have listened to your elders. Now you are seeing the other side of the younger generation. What will be your viewpoint?
No, that's always something that I've been very concerned about. Because whether we liked it or not, we used to go with whatever was told to us, right? And eventually it worked out all right. But now I think the entire environment is like that. You can't expect your children. Okay, I decide tomorrow my children will be brought up the way I was brought up. Then there's going to be a lot of peer pressure on them. So the entire environment is like that. So how do you change? And we have nucleus families, one child, two children. So we give them the best. We give them everything that we can on one side, and the other side you expect them to uh, uh, toe the line that you want. It will not happen. I guess we'll just have to go along with them, be supportive. Let's be supportive to them and let them, okay, when you'll be there when they fall, to lift them up
Yeah.
and then help them walk.
No,
Yeah.
but
Because
it's
the entire world is like that. We can't be different, right?
no, but sometimes it's a saddening state of affair that you're seeing that the younger generation in front of your own eyes are deteriorating in all aspects because they are not able to understand the ground realities.
You know, it's a difficult thing, Dr. Ravi, because
Very
every generation changes. We are not what our parents were. Our parents are not their parents were. So in a situation like this, all that we can hope for is to give them the right value systems. The rest they have to fend for themselves and learn.
exactly.
Hopefully, the values that we have, good values, will rub off on them. That's all
Yes.
that we can hope for.
No, I feel
Talk the talk.
fundamentally what is wrong is in our education system, which has undergone a change from that of value addition. Because I still remember when I used in 1969, when I was a student of Vivekananda, every Monday there used to be a class called as moral class. Today, nothing of that sort is there. Just like that, they go to a college or a classroom like they go to a club. No, unless that perception of the education system, right from the beginning, you must inculcate some good morals, good things, what has happened in the past, how things have developed, how this India has been shaped into such a good one. And success stories of many people, including Madam Manita. So you can just picturize them.
I think we'll have to make the best of what is available, Dr. Ravi. We'll have to make the best of whatever is available. The situation is this: what best can we do under the circumstances is what we have to look at.
And the changes that we will make will come bit by bit. We can't change overnight.
Yes.
The education system, I agree, we need to make some changes. But what is happening is that they are exposed to much more than we were. The whole world is at the as a touch of a button for them. So the expectations are different. The way they develop are different. So I just give you one example. I was doing a business audit of one of the large companies in Europe, and I met people who are in their 60s, and they were complaining how great days were when they joined the company and how things have changed because of the new generation. I only asked them one question: does the company make things better for the new generation or for you because you're going to retire in 5 years? The company has to attract new people. So who should they sort of cater to? then there was a silence because we have to change with the times, unfortunately. I think
Absolutely.
I always tell people, my generation was the last that looked after both parents and children. The next generation have no way of doing that, even if they have intention. Times are changing. There's nothing you can do about it. So we hope for the best. Like I said, let's give them the best value systems. If they can give them a good education, done for them. It's up to them to fend for themselves.
Like you said, every generation has a kind of agenda.
Yeah.
Every generation. So I guess we'll just have to adapt ourselves to the environment and then, accept it. When you start resisting it, that's when you will have a lot of pain.
There's one more question from Saraswati. Is unconscious bias coming in the way of women's success?
No, I don't think so.
In a way, I would say, Vanita, even in the European and the American, there is a certain subconscious bias to a certain extent. I've been fighting this, saying that why it should be any different. To the extent that that's just not women. If you look at any kind of inclusivity, let us say if somebody is physically challenged and they're giving you a job, I find it appalling and shocking that they want to give them a lower salary. I said, why? Why should you give them a lower salary? The output is the same. So the same thing with women. Why should they? I find that there's a difference in salaries in some of the countries, not in India. India is doing better. It's a strange situation, but yeah, it's not unconscious. It's subconscious that is going quite quickly. The new generations are much better than some of the older generations. The other, Rani has made a comment that we raised our children with a lot of independence. We taught them to think on their own. We have to accept them the ways they are now.
Yes, I agree with that.
Also, one more thing that has changed. We were all joint families with grandparents, great-grandparents. That was a different thing. Now it's all nuclear families. They see nothing outside their parents who are busy working. So it's more peer pressure. You don't come back to an elder. You don't have those stories. You don't have all those things being done. So that is a clear change from what we were. But I mean, we can't help it. That's the way it is.
Yes, that's very true. Very, very true. We don't expose the children to those kind of the ecosystem that we grew up in. You can't expect them to be,
Yeah. So is there anything? I think we've asked most of the questions. Is there anything else that you want to talk about, Vanita, which is sort of relevant here, which you feel that you should share with this audience that we have?
No, I think pretty much we have covered all the areas.
Yeah. The only thing that I would say is that whatever we do, there are two things that my grandfather taught, which I've always followed. In my company, there was no race, religion, caste, or any such thing wherever I worked. But I had two castes: working caste and non-working caste. The working caste be here, non-working caste please go out. Doesn't matter what you are. So that was one of the things. The second thing was, please respect human beings because they are human beings, not because of their caste, creed, money, intelligence, or anything. The basic respect. So hierarchy is for when there is a crisis, to have a chain of command. It is not to throw your weight around. These are the few things that I was taught, which I tried my best to follow, which I'm sure you're doing because all the success that you've had. But I think to quite an extent, it was actually swimming against what you call tide. But it has changed now.
Yes, and I think your philosophy, I think it really is, it works very well. And for team building.
Yeah.
So when you have a very closed community or a group working for you, then everything becomes very suited. I think teamwork, you need people from multiple communities, religions, whatever you call it.
Yeah. And diversity is very, very important.
Yes.
But there's one thing I must tell you, which is very funny. I retired and my deputy became...
I thought you said you never retire.
Okay, I retired from Grundfos, but and my deputy became the head of the region. And he's Saravanan, he's a Chettiar from Tamil Nadu. The last time I met him, sir, I have to complain to you. His first job was with me in my family. You didn't teach me something. I said, what did I teach you? Didn't I teach you? You didn't teach me how to deal with politics in companies. I started laughing. I said, now I have to deal with politics. Now you should have taught us how to deal with politics too. So that's how it is. So back to you, Bhavani and Saraswati.
Thank you very much, Rangat. I enjoyed
Oh,
talking to you.
I enjoyed having a chat with you.
What a lovely conversation and so absorbing for all the participants who are here. Whoever has missed this has missed something. You know, it was so impactful. Saraswati, all
Yeah,
yours.
yeah. Thanks to the water woman, should I say that? Thanks a lot, and thanks to Mr. Ranganath for keeping the conversation so light. Let me invite Ms. Subhadra, the WBC member, Women Business Council member, to just say a few words of thanks to them.
Thank you so much, Ma'am. So, Ma'am, on behalf of WC and MCCI, we thank you so much for taking your time out from your busy schedule and sharing your entire journey. And you are a woman of multiple hats and yet so humble. And we have learned a lot from you this evening. Thank you so much. And we also thank our guest speaker, Mr. N.K. Ranganathan. So thank you so much for posing very interesting questions, which is a great eye-opener for us. We also thank the Governing Council members, the WBC members, and also the participants. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Let me invite all of you to join, if possible, our Women's Day session on 6th March evening. Here is the details. You can write to the chamber for more details and registration. Thanks a lot, Vanita.
And Saraswati,
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone.
Sorry,
Thank you
Ranganath.
so much, Vanita. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
Ranganath,
Thank you very
sir.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.